Ever get tired of playing roulette with your AI video outputs? You know the drill. You type in a prompt, you get something that looks undeniably cool, but it completely fails to tell an actual cohesive story. Well, welcome to this explainer. Today, we are completely transforming how you approach AI generation. We're diving into a masterclass on Higgsfield. And I want to be clear right up front. This isn't just another text-to-video toy. It's a full-on production studio. We're going to learn exactly how to step onto this digital set and take absolute control of your creative vision.
Right off the bat, if you take just one thing away from this explainer, let it be this quote right here. Higgsfield rewards people who think like directors, not people who think like prompt typers. It is absolutely crucial to grasp this. We are moving completely away from the passive, cross your fingers and hope approach of one-sentence text prompts. Instead, we're shifting gears toward active, deliberate cinematic directing. Every single tool we're going to explore today is engineered to train that exact instinct in you.
So here is our game plan for today. We're covering 5 key areas: thinking like a director, sequencing with the AI director, deliberate camera movement, locking in character consistency, and finally, turning all of that into high-converting ads. Let's get right into it. Okay, section 1, think like a director, foundations and budgeting. Look, just like on a real Hollywood movie set, before anyone yells action, someone has to manage the production budget. In Higgsfield, your budget is your credits, and those credits are consumed based on video length, resolution, and the specific AI model you choose. So the golden rule here? Draft cheap and finalize expensive. You should literally never do your very first exploratory generation at final resolution and full length. Running a cheap, short draft to make sure your concept actually works will save you way more credits than it costs. Always check your balance, run low-res tests, and track your spend. Now, choosing the right underlying AI model in Higgsfield is honestly exactly like a cinematographer picking out the right film stock. They are not interchangeable. If you need a hyper-realistic physics, you've got to reach for a physics-aware model. But if you just need a quick concept draft to see if a shot is even viable, go for the lightest, fastest model on the platform. Your choice here dictates the physics, the rendering speed, and the overall style of your shot before you even type a single word. Check out this cinematic draft of a traveler at a mountain lake in northern Pakistan. I challenge you to test your own workflow with a fast, low-cost model generation just like this before you ever commit to a massive, expensive render. Watch the result all the way through, double-check your lighting, your composition, and only then decide, do I iterate on this or am I ready to move to final production? All right, moving on to section 2, sequencing with the AI director, storyboarding. Now that we've got our budget sorted, it's time to open up the Cinema Studio workspace and finally break away from single, isolated clips. Enter the AI director. Honestly, this tool is the single biggest jump in output quality you can get on the platform. Why? Because instead of handing you one long, wandering clip, the AI director takes your single creative brief and logically breaks it down into a sequence of individually planned shots. You get your establishing shot, a tight close-up, a reaction shot, exactly the way a professional director would storyboard a scene before cameras ever roll. Here is how this completely transforms your workflow. You don't just type a basic prompt anymore, you enter a comprehensive brief. We're talking setting, characters, mood, story beats. The AI director then pitches a proposed shot list back to you. And here is where the magic happens. You can actually edit those individual shots before generating anything. If shot 3 in your sequence is a dud, just fix or regenerate shot 3. You're manipulating discrete units, which means you can perfect one tiny moment without nuking the entire sequence. To put that into perspective, take a look at how this sequence unfolds. We're watching a concept turn into a perfectly paced sequence. We start with a wide establishing shot. Say, a traveler reaching a mountain ridge, making them look small to really emphasize the grand scale. Then, boom, we cut to a tight close-up on their face to capture that quiet emotional satisfaction. We are deliberately building emotional weight, step by step. Which leads us perfectly into section 3, deliberate camera movement, the cinematographer. You know, camera movement actually dictates the emotional vibe of a scene long before a single line of dialogue is spoken. Let's rapid fire some vocabulary, because in Higgsfield, these aren't just vague style presets. They are real, actionable directorial choices. A slow dolly in literally pulls the viewer toward a subject. It builds intimacy or intensity. A dolly out pushes away, creating isolation. A pan surveys the action, and a tilt reveals grand scale like a skyscraper or a cliff face. You absolutely must match your camera movement to the emotional beat of your story. But hey, huge red flag here. The absolute most common amateur mistake is defaulting to a wild, dramatic camera move on every single shot. Don't do it. Constant motion is exhausting to watch, and it completely flattens the impact of your video. Think about it. Stillness and visual weight are exactly what give those big, dramatic camera moves their punch when you finally decide to unleash them. Use static shots deliberately to create contrast. For example, look at this incredible sweeping reveal using a slow crane up and back. A huge pro tip from the masterclass: if you generate a shot and it just feels kind of boring or flat, don't immediately rewrite your whole text prompt. Often, just tweaking the camera speed or direction is the real fix. Try changing the intensity first and let the cinematography do the heavy lifting for you.
All right, let's jump to section 4. Locking character consistency. Casting with Soul ID.
Okay, it's casting time. We are tackling the holy grail, the hardest problem in all of AI video generation, making sure your lead actor doesn't magically morph into a total stranger between cuts. Because let's face it, a single gorgeous shot means nothing if your character looks like their coven in the next one. To solve this, Higgsfield uses something called Soul ID. You define a character's identity once from a reference image, and then you carry that exact face consistently across every single subsequent generation. It's the anchor for any serious multi-shot campaign. So how exactly do we cast this AI actor? First off, you need a crystal clear, well-lit front-facing reference photo. No extreme angles, no crazy dramatic shadows, because that just causes identity drift. You create a new ID, let's call her Amara, review the profile the AI builds, run a quick test generation, and hit save. The big takeaway here, the clarity of that initial reference photo is literally the most crucial factor for success. Garbage in, garbage out. Once that's done, you just reference that saved Soul ID by name in your prompt. By simply typing Amara, the identity stays perfectly locked. Notice how the setting, the wardrobe, even the complex lighting can totally change, but her facial consistency remains perfectly stable. It finally actually feels like one cohesive production, rather than 5 random clips of different people who just happen to kind of look alike. And that brings us to our final stop, Section 5, generating high-converting ads in the marketing studio. So, we've managed our budget, storyboarded our shots, directed the camera, and cast our lead. Now it's time to turn that beautiful cinematic art into actual, measurable business results. The marketing studio has this mind-blowing URL to video pipeline. You literally just paste a product page link right into the studio. The AI automatically scrubs the page, extracts the product images, the key details, the pricing, the whole shebang. You review it, pick an output format, and hit generate. You're transforming a static web page into a ready-to-publish formatted video ad in a matter of seconds. It's incredible. But as any good director knows, you have to understand where your film is screening. Tailoring the visual format and the pacing is just as vital as the video itself. If you're exporting this ad for TikTok, you need that vertical aspect ratio, sure, but you also need a lightning-fast hook in the very first second and a raw, native feel. On the flip side, if you're pushing to Instagram Reels, the audience expects a slightly more polished aesthetic and a really strong, beautiful opening visual. And speaking of those make-or-break first 2 seconds, that is exactly where the hook generator comes to the rescue. Instead of staring at a blank screen trying to be a copywriter, you just feed the AI your product details and who your audience is. It spits out scroll-stopping opening concepts tailored to current trends. You can generate a bunch of variations, run some A/B tests, and find out what actually makes your specific audience stop scrolling and start buying. Well, we've walked through the entire pipeline today, from crunching credits to storyboarding sequences, locking down your actors, and generating hooks that actually convert. So I'll leave you with this final challenge. Are you going to stay a passive prompt typer, just crossing your fingers and accepting whatever random clip the AI spits out? Or are you ready to use this professional pipeline, step onto that digital set, and actually direct your next campaign? Grab a real-world project, fire up Higgsfield, and put these tools to work. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and happy directing.